I did want to take you back to chapter 8, verse 17. Let's read that again. In each and every province and in each and every city, wherever the king's commandment and his decree arrived, there was gladness and joy for the Jews, a feast and a holiday. And many among the people of the land became Jews, for the dread of the Jews had fallen on them. I didn't want to gloss over that because it's kind of the backdrop for chapter 9. Why were they celebrating? Well, what's all the hullabaloo about? Okay, so they rewrote it. Did that mean that they were going to get out of the conflict? Were they rejoicing because there wasn't going to be a conflict? There's still going to be a conflict. So that's not why they were rejoicing. They were rejoicing because they knew the king had their backs. It's really important for us to go into chapter 9. The king had their backs. They knew they had the support of the king of 127 provinces. And that gave them great comfort. It says, now in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar. All right, that's the month we've been talking about. On the 13th day, when the king's command and edict were about to be executed, on the day when the enemies of the Jews hoped to gain the mastery over them, it was turned to the contrary, so that the Jews themselves gained mastery over those who hated them. All right. It's one thing when Haman was threatening to kill Mordecai. But it was quite another when he took after the entire Jewish race in that area. And, you know, it's like God said to him, all right, you're on. Let's have this battle. Who do you think's going to win? Yeah. Not even a question, is it? Let's look at Zechariah 2:8.
For he who touches you touches the apple of his eye.
Wow. Isn't that something? The apple, the pupil. Have you ever had anyone touch your pupil? I mean, ooh, it hurt. I mean, you can touch the white part, but boy, to touch your pupil, it is incredibly painful. I mean, it hurts to even think about it, doesn't it? And there he's having a conniption over here. And that is God talking. God takes it very seriously. That's why we're told, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And heaven help us as a country if we ever turn our backs on Israel. That will be the beginning of the end. It's an all-out war going against God's people. And we, as believers in Messiah, are right in there with them, aren't we? We're God's people. We've been grafted in. We've been adopted. And if it can happen to the Jewish people, it can happen to us as well. And things are heating up. But we have God on our side. Just like the Jews did here in this story. It was turned to the contrary. My Bible is New American Standard. How do yours say it? How does the NIV say that?
Mine said, but now the tables were turned, and the Jews got the upper hand over those who hated them.
Oh, don't you love that? The Jews got the upper hand. Was it because they had brains and brawn that they had the upper hand? No. They had no control over the term of these events, did they? It was the sovereign God who intervened on their behalf. He's the one who turned the tables. Verse 2 says, "The Jews assembled in the cities throughout all the provinces, and no one could stand before them, for the dread of them had fallen on all the people." There's that word dread again. It was just in verse 17 that we read. The dread of all the people. Do you know what dread means? We're talking knees knocking fear. But it was also not a bad fear, not like they feared Haman, but it was a reverent fear, much like we fear God. We're told to fear God. It's a wholesome fear. It's a reverence, and this is what all the people, it said, all the people were feeling toward the Jews. They didn't know what it was about them, but boy, they were deciding they wanted to be on their side, and they were very smart to realize that. Psalm 40, verse 3. He put a new song in my mouth, a song of praise to our God. Do you think he put a new song in the Jews' mouth?
Yeah.
When they found out the king was for them and not against them. Boy, that's a new song. And then it says, many will see and what? Fear. And then what? Yeah. They'll see and they'll fear and they'll put their trust in the Lord. Well, that's what I see happening here in verse 2. All the people were seeing all this, all the things that God was doing, and they were overwhelmed and they were in awe. Who has Deuteronomy 11:25?
No one will be able to stand against you. The Lord your God, as he promised you, will put terror and fear of you on the whole land wherever you go.
Wow. Is God not keeping his promise right here? It just said the people feared them. God is keeping his promise. I will lay the dread of you and the fear of you on all the land which you set foot, as he has spoken to you. As he has spoken to you. Whatever God says, he will do. Has he spoken to you? Has he given you a promise? Our God cannot lie. Well, the Bible's full of promises. And one of them I'm thinking of right now, I will never leave you or forsake you. Even if we don't feel him, his word is true. God will do what he says he will do.